So let's say you just bought your first GoPro and it happens to be a GoPro Hero 5 or a GoPro Hero 6, or maybe you're upgrading for an older camera to a Hero 5 or Hero 6. You've got your camera turned on, you got it set up. Well, now you have to set up your preferences. What do these preferences mean? What do they do? How do you get this camera set up? Well, I'm going to talk about it and walk you through it step by step coming up. What's up YouTube? I'm Scotty with Scotty Goes Pro, and on this channel I cover everything from tips, tricks, tutorials, how-tos, and reviews on all things GoPro. So if you're new here and any of that sounds good to you, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content just like this. So I wanted to make this video because when you buy a new Hero 5 or Hero 6, there's a lot of preferences and a lot of different ways you can set up your camera. There's no specific preference, there's no special way to set this up, so it's all specific to you and what you need. Also, if you're coming from an older camera to a newer camera, that can be overwhelming because there's a lot of different things that are different. So what I want to do with this video is just walk you through each one of the preferences, show you how I have my camera set up and what your options are to set it up the way you want. So we're going to jump over to the office, also known as my kitchen table, walk through all that, and we'll come back here and talk about it at the end. All right, guys and gals, here we are with the GoPro Hero 6, but most of these preferences that I'm going through are the same with the GoPro Hero 5, so if that's what you got, that'll work too. So we begin when you turn on your camera, this is the screen that it comes to. So what you want to do to get to your connections and your preferences is just swipe down. So here across the top, this is the first thing we'll talk about. This little lock button locks your screen so that when you're recording, taking videos or whatever, if you bump the screen accidentally, it won't change anything. So if you hit this lock button, scroll back up, it tells you screen is locked. So now if you start hitting the record button, like so, hitting the screen won't change anything. It doesn't stop recording, nothing happens. However, you can stop the recording. So if you turn that off and you try to change something that's still locked, so what you want to do is swipe down, tap to unlock, and that's it. So go back into the settings again and turn that off. So now whenever you go in, you have full control over everything that you need. The next thing over here, this little guy looks like he's talking to an X. That is your voice control settings. So now in this position, it is off. If you tap the guy, it gives it little waves coming out of his mouth. Now your voice commands are on. So that's all that is. That's a quick way to turn your voice commands on, turn them off. So for this video, I'm going to turn them off, or while I'm talking, the camera's going to do crazy stuff. So we'll begin this with the connections. Here, where it says connected devices, this just lets you know what kind of devices you have connected to your camera. So right now I have a smart remote that is disconnected. Next thing is connect new devices. If you have a smart remote, if you have a GoPro app, if you have a Remo remote, or if you have any other Bluetooth device, this is where you go to connect those devices. So again, if you have any new devices that you want to connect, this is where you do that. With the Hero 6, you can choose between Wi-Fi band speeds. To do that, you just go to Wi-Fi band. You can pick 5 gigahertz or 2.4 gigahertz. So to change the Wi-Fi band speed on your Hero 6, this is where you do that. Also, you get the name and password information from your GoPro here. I'm not going to do that so someone doesn't steal my information. You can also reset all your connections. So if you have a Remo remote connected, a smart remote, your app, you want to reset all that and start over for whatever reason, this is where you do that. And last but not least in the connections is your Wi-Fi. This is where you turn on your Wi-Fi and turn your Wi-Fi off. On and off right there. Simple. So to get back out, scroll down, go back to connections, and next is the preferences. Alright, so the first thing on your preference list is the camera tour option. I'm not going to press it now because it's going to take 5 minutes to go through everything. But if you want to go through your camera, figure out what does what, it's going to give you a quick little tour. This is where you do that. The next thing is about this GoPro, which tells you everything you need to know about this GoPro. It gives you your serial numbers, tells you everything you need to know about your specific GoPro. The next one on this list is GoPro updates, which when you connect on that, it says connect to GoPro, connect to the GoPro app to download the latest updates for your GoPro. So, I don't know, I've never used this camera update preference. Next thing on the list is your time, date, and date format. And this is self-explanatory. So if you want to set your time and the date and set the format, These are the 3 spots where you go to do that. Next down the list is the voice control commands. Now I showed you already how you can turn voice control on and off using the little man face there at the beginning, but another option to do that is through here. So here you can turn on the voice control commands and turn them off. As you can see, it says lets you control the GoPro with your voice. List of voice commands are in the preferences, which we'll get to. So you can turn the voice commands off or on here. We'll go back. This is the wake on voice preference, which I can't get to it now because I have the voice control turned off. But when your voice controls are turned on, you can turn on this wake on voice command option, which basically lets you wake the camera, start recording while it's turned off. So basically you just tell GoPro turn on or GoPro start recording while it's turned off, and it will power on and start recording. Next is your languages. This is where you pick what language you are. Here I'm in the United States, so my language is English US. Next is your list of commands. This basically just tells you all your voice commands for your GoPro. You can scroll through here, see what all voice commands you have. That way you're not doing any guesswork. Read these so you know what you're telling your camera what to do. Next is your beat volume. I leave mine on medium, but you have high, medium, low, and off. So choose which one you want. Obviously this is the volume of the beep, so when you start recording it beeps. When you stop recording it beeps. This is just how loud you want it. Now the next one is your LEDs. These are the flashing little LEDs that you get whenever you're recording. You get a little flashing light, so you can choose to turn these all on, all off, or just front off only. This is a good option if you're filming around reflective areas, mirrors, windows, something like that, where you'll get the front flashing red light in your video. If you don't want that, you can turn it off. Next is the quick capture on preference. This I always leave on. I talk about this in another video of mine, which I'll link up here when I'm talking about the GoPro battery life, or how to get the best out of your battery life. So basically what the quick capture option is if you have your camera turned off, all you have to do is hit the top shutter button and the GoPro turns on and starts recording automatically. You hit it again, it stops recording and it turns off automatically. So here it just tells you shutter button, auto powers up your GoPro and starts recording. A short press for video and a long press for time lapse. I've never used the long press for time lapse, but I'm assuming that it works. So turn this on, turn this off here. Now, default mode is the default mode when you turn your camera on. You can choose whether you want it to be on video, looping, photos, night photo, what's this? Yep, night mode, burst mode, or, all these other modes. So whenever I turn my camera on, I want it to be on video mode. So I set mine to video mode. That's where I want it. So when I turn on my camera, it automatically powers on to video mode. But if you want to change yours to something else, this is where you do it, default mode. Auto off. This is an option that you will use or not use if you want your GoPro to turn off automatically. If you're very forgetful and you can't remember to turn off your camera, then you might want to use one of these settings. So here you can choose 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes, or never. I leave mine on never because I never forget to turn mine off. But if you are forgetful, you might want to use one of those options. Next is a screensaver. This chooses when you want the screensaver to come on. So when you're videoing, if you want the screensaver, if you want this LCD screen to go black, which is your screensaver, you can set that time you want it to come on. So you can set it at 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or never. Again, I usually use never. But if you want to save some battery life, you might want to set that screensaver. Next is the brightness. This is the brightness of your LCD screen. You can bump it all the way up to 100%. Or all the way down to 10%. I usually leave mine between 50 and 60 is usually the sweet spot for me. Again, turning this up uses more battery life. Turning it down uses less battery life. If you're out in the bright sun, you might want to turn it up a little bit more. Or if you're in a dark area, you might want to turn it down. But I find that 60, 50% is the sweet spot for me. That's where I leave it. Auto rotation. Now, what this does is auto rotates your photos and videos right side up even when the camera is upside down. So I leave this on auto. But you can choose up or down. If auto means basically if you're filming like this, the LCD screen is going to be good, your video is going to be straight. If you turn it upside down, the video will still be right side up. So no matter which way you turn it, your video will always be right side up. So I leave that on auto. If you are the kind of person who shoots with a video upside down or right side up, leave it on auto. That's where you want it to be. All right, regional GPS. This is where you turn on your GPS for overlays on your videos. Here you can choose on or off. Next is the language. This is where you choose your specific language. After that is the video format. Here in the United States, we use NTSC. I think other countries use PAL. So depending on where you're at, that's the setting you want to use. I don't know what regulatory is. It just gives you a bunch of numbers for your camera. So if you want to check that out, check that out. HDMI input. This is if you have any type of input coming into your camera. You can adjust the settings here for monitor, media, live, all that mess. So just leave it on media. I don't know what all the other stuff does. Audio inputs, if you have something coming in, if you have the GoPro adapter for audio for an external microphone, this is where you adjust the settings. This is where you choose that in this setting here, audio input. The next setting is to format your SD card. Here, if you want to wipe your SD card or if you want to format a new SD card to your GoPro, this is where you want to do this. So you just go to SD card, format SD card, hit delete. Now it's going to wipe everything clean that's on your card. So if this is not a new card, you want to make sure you save all the videos because it's going to wipe it clean and format it to your camera. If it's a brand new SD card, just throw it in, hit format, delete, it doesn't matter because there's nothing on there. This is where you want to format your card. This is your camera defaults. This basically just resets everything back to the factory settings. Here it says resets all settings to the defaults except date, time, camera name, password, language, and video formats. Everything else, it just resets it back. And factory reset is just that. That's the factory reset. So you can go into here, either hit reset, which sets everything back, resets all your connections, everything that you have for your camera back to the original settings. So if you want to do that, this is where you do it. So if you're selling your camera to somebody else, you might want to do this before you sell it. And that's about it, guys. So I'll jump back in front of the camera and we'll get out of here. And that's it, guys. I know there's a lot of preferences with this camera. There's a lot of different ways to set this up. So just take some time, play with your camera, go through the different settings, and figure out which works best for you. If you have any questions about this, or if I missed anything, if you want me to talk about something more, please just let me know. Leave all your comments, questions, and concerns down in the comment section below, and I promise to get to those as quick as I can. Also, if this video was helpful for you and you got something out of it, don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up button. Again, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already so you don't miss out on more content just like this. And that's all for today, folks. See you next time.